Welcome back to Science with Mrs. Miller. This is BVISD, and we're looking at Chapter 8. Now, today we're focusing on Section 3, the mollusks and segmented worms. So our goals for today are to be able to identify those characteristics of mollusks, compare the similarities and differences of an open and closed circulatory system, and describe the characteristics of a segmented worm. So we also want to be able to explain the digestive system of an earthworm. So phylum mollusks. So these include snails, mussels, and octopi. Now we eat all of those, but there's a few that we are going to make ourselves familiar with that we don't actually eat. So they all are soft-bodied and are invertebrates. They usually possess a shell, but we know that octopi don't. They also have a mantle and a large muscular foot of some sort. Now, most of these mantles are thin layers of tissue that cover the soft body. Now, in all cases, they have a certain amount of slime that is secreted by the mantle. And between the mantle and the soft body is that mantle cavity. Now, water mollusks have gills that are located in that mantle cavity. So let's look at some body systems. All mollusks have a digestive system with two openings, meaning they have a mouth and an anus. Comes in one end, goes out the other. Now, most of them have a radula, which is a scratchy tongue-like organ that they possess to help get food in and out. Now, they have an open circulatory system, which means blood just goes sort of everywhere. It leaks in and it leaks out into the system. They don't have any closed systems like we do with veins and capillaries that connect back into arteries and all that kind of good stuff. They just sort of seep out everywhere. Now, let's look at some types of mollusks. The first characteristic that we have to look at to be able to classify mollusks is, does it have a shell or not? So gastropods generally do. Gastro meaning stomach, and pod meaning foot, coming up with that stomach foot. Now, these are the largest groups of all mollusks, and it does include the snail and the conch. But slugs are in there, even though they don't have a shell. Mainly, they do live in water or moist land, and they all move on a large muscular foot. We've all seen snails before, slugs. Then you know that in the conch shell is that very large gastropod inside the shell. Now, they all basically move about using this secretion. They secrete mucus and they slide about upon it. Now, there's another kind of mollusk that we're going to be looking at today, and that's bivalves. Now, bivalves are scallops or clams, and they have two shells that are hinged together at the back by a little joint. Now, they have very large, powerful muscles that open and close that joint, or those halves. Now, these are all water-dwelling animals, and they do filter feed. So basically, they let the water take microscopic organisms in and out of their body. But they do have to have gills, and if you remember, they're in that inner mantle cavity. Now, cephalopods. Cephalo meaning head, pod meaning foot, head, foot. Now, these are the most complex of all mollusks. This includes the chambered nautilus, as you see in this picture right here, octopi, squid, and cuttlefish. Now, instead of having a shell, they have that internal plate, almost like a bone. They have a very prominent, well-developed head and multiple tentacles, either used for moving or obtaining food. They have a closed circulatory system. That blood does not leak out everywhere. More akin to our system where we have that chambered heart. We go on to arteries that lead into capillaries, that lead into other types of capillaries that lead into veins and back to our heart. They're capable of very, very quick movement. And the reason they're capable of this very, very quick movement is that mantle. So that mantle is a very muscular part of the body. It has an envelope surrounding all the organs. Now, water enters in a space between the mantles and the organs. And when they squeeze that water out, they put it through a siphon, giving that very almost jet propulsion siphon movement. So, segmented worms. This is in phylum Annelida. Now, this includes earthworms, leeches, and marine worms. Now, obviously, with the name segmented worms, their body is made up of repeating segments or rings. This helps give them some flexibility and movement. Now, they have cells, nerve cells, and blood vessels. This is all part of the digestive tract and the colon. So, earthworms, There's more than 100 body segments at least. So if you see this, this is a giant earthworm right here. And they all have these external brush-like structures because of the setae. And they actually eat dirt by eating it through their mouth, digesting the nutrients, the minerals, and then releasing the excess out of the anus. So this is a very important part of the composting procedure, very, very important animal within the Earth's ecosystem. They also pass carbon dioxide through the mucus of their skin. This is how they breathe. Now if we take a larger look here, earthworms have a closed circulatory system. They have a main heart and several accessory hearts, but they do have that main artery-type line and several blood vessels at different segments of their, or different parts of their segments branching off. Now they do have that excretory gland, and they have a nerve cord that leads to a simple brain. Now they have the mouth, and they have the anus, and the digestive tract, which is where the blood vessels are pretty much all wrapped around. We'll make that picture a little bit smaller, and we'll go back here. Now, leeches are this other type of segmented worm, and if you look very closely in these pictures, you're going to be able to see that. So leeches can be freshwater or marine, and if you've ever been in central Texas, in the rivers there, they do have some leeches, so yes, they are freshwater. Now, they can actually live on land, but these are usually mild, tropical, wet regions. They usually have very flat, thin bodies, about 5 millimeters in length to 460 millimeters. 460 millimeters really translates to about 46 centimeters. So to give you an idea, it takes 2.6 centimeters in order to make an inch. So you can take a look at that. Now, at both ends of the animal, there's sucking discs. What they do is they attach to an animal and they begin to suck out the blood. They can hold about 10 times their weight in blood. And now, they can live on other things like marine life, but they really, really prefer to eat blood or to drink blood. Now, that leads to my favorite, which is either the most colorful things. They're the marine worms. Now, this one doesn't technically look segmented, but it is. These are the Cephalopods. Now, they're the largest and most diverse group of annelids. They have lots and lots of bristles that they use for walking, swimming, or digging, and basically sweeping things into their mouth. Now, I don't have a whole lot to say on their body types. They may be filter feeders, they may eat plants or decaying mineral, and they may be predators or parasites. There's a very large group going on here. So let's take a look at the first part of your listening check. And this is a problem-solving activity. You might want to pause, take a minute, write all this down. You do need to put your answers in your journals. But we do have some other listening checks that we need to go on to. So pause, write it down, get ready to go. Now, this is the next part of the listening check. And these are the 5 questions. And hopefully you can get these all written down and take care of them in your journal, and I'll be checking them later. So if you have any questions, be sure to write them down, bring them to class, and I'll be happy to help you with them. But thanks for listening, and have a great day.